We have made it to the most fun part of the agenda. We get to now hear from our finalist innovators. We have 13 innovators that we're going to hear from today. These are the folks that have made it all the way through the selection panel. The REACH core members have chosen them as finalists, and now we get to hear their pitch. And so before we do that, we are going to introduce our Dolphin tank. As Vijay eloquently pointed out, this is not a shark tank. These are just dolphins. They don't bite. But we'd love to hear your backgrounds a little bit, and we'll let each of the three of you introduce yourselves.
So Ann Gugasberg, I'm with Biogenerator Ventures here in St. Louis. I'm a senior associate on the investment team. Biogenerator Ventures is the investment arm of BioSTL, one of the co-hosts of our event today. I'm on the ag tech team, so we focus about half of our investments in the ag tech sector. I'm relatively new to venture capital, but I bring hopefully a technical perspective to the role. So previous experience in an ag tech startup and leading a discovery efforts there, as well as in academia, so background in microbiology, biochemistry. Really love hearing about what new innovators and entrepreneurs are doing in this space. There's big problems in ag, so I think it's really exciting to be thinking about technical applications in this area. So really excited to be a Dolphin today and hear more from our REACH innovators. So thanks.
Thank you.
Ron Musin, I am a botanist, an old botanist. I got my doctorate in '79, about 4 years before plant molecular biology became a field. And I got my first job right out of school, and 3 months later I was called in and told I was going to, for Roman Haas Company, 3 months late into my job I was called in and handed a gold credit card by the director, and he said, "Congratulations, there's this new thing in the Wall Street Journal called biotechnology. You're going to take a year and figure out what our company should do." 3 months out of school. So that launched me on a 25-year career of corporate R&D. GMO crops have my team's fingerprints all over them, a whole series of technologies, some vegetable seed breeding. And then about 20 years ago, I stumbled over the fact that of the 700 private venture funds in North America, we could not find one that specialized in ag tech. So I left the corporate world to the normal choruses of "you're crazy," because they paid very well, and started a venture fund. And we've now done 3 funds, 280 million, 40 investments, looked at 4,900 business plans. And that's kind of how a botanist becomes a VC, I guess.
Thank you. Bruno Bello, I'm part of ADM Ventures Group. I've been in the company for about 8 years. I've been leading ag tech investments for the Ventures Group in ADM for the past 2 years. I have a full financial background, started out doing my master's in finance, moved it up to advisory, then private equity, and now finally ended up on the ag business, which I think is a very interesting space. So thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. So we've got 13 companies. We're going to go in rapid fire order. The plan is we're going to take the first 6. We'll take a lunch break, and then we'll come back and hear from the final 7. So just a few rules of engagement for the innovators. You are on a 6-minute clock. I've spent the morning back in the sound booth, and we have an agreement that your microphones will get turned off after 6 minutes. So please plan accordingly. Just fair warning. After that time, we'll have another 3 minutes for some questions from our dolphins, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring up Agrina all the way from Denmark.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us all the way from Denmark. I hope you can understand my Viking English. My name is Simon. I have a background in engineering and finance, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Agrina. And with me, I brought Thomas and a bit of the rest of the team that has been touring 5 states for the last week, talking to growers. Really appreciative of having us here. So, who is Agrina? We call ourselves a regenerative platform. And as we've heard today, that can mean a lot of different things. But basically, it's quite simple. What we want to obtain is to ensure farmers, on the one hand, adopt regenerative practices while mitigating the downside risk of doing it, and on the other side, enabling corporates and all the touch points of the ecosystem to reach their sustainability goals. is actually not more difficult than such. That we have done at scale in Europe. We are currently operating in 19 countries, and over the last 3 years, we have, with a very, and I'll come back to that, very farmer-centric mindset, managed to mobilize farmers across more than 5 million acres to adopt regenerative practices. We're also a team now of more than 250 people, which just means it takes an army to do it. But what I really want to talk about is farmers, because I don't think I have to introduce the potential here, nor the challenges and the friction points. But when we talk about farmers, it's really important because they are the ones who have to do the heavy lifting. And what does heavy lifting look like? I think we heard about community. There are also knowledge barriers, but essentially, and the most fundamental barrier is the financial barrier. How do we make farmers overcome the financial barrier of adopting practices, both from an ROI perspective? I am an old bank, I understand ROI, but there's actually also a time horizon perspective. And as one of our growers told it recently, you cannot be green if you're in the red. And I think it's a simple statement to understand, and therefore the core of this is how do we generate new revenue stream for farmers from a variety of different sources in order to really offset those, and if anyone is in doubt, those obvious initial downside risks and cost of adopting regenerative practices. That is what we do. The approach we've taken is really a one-stop platform, and we've done that, a vertical integrated one-stop platform. We've done that for 3 reasons. One is that it is actually super, super complicated. It's complicated from a methodology, from a measurement, from a taxonomy, from a data perspective, from a verification perspective. There's a lot of different things that go into it. Let's talk about double counting for an hour or two. But the essential is that we need to be able to make it super simple for the farmer. And that is why we have it vertically integrated, because then we can take something that is super complicated and make it simple for the farmer. The other reason is that only by actually knitting this very tightly together, we can actually create high quality verified outcomes. Because if it becomes too loosely coupled, then the quality suffers. We don't understand the specificities. And then thirdly, it's about interoperability. And I really want to leave with that note. That is what I don't get at this point. Everyone wants to do their own thing, and I think it's really in the spirit of why we're here. Everyone wants to have exclusivity to the farmer. Everyone comes with their own carbon program to the farmer. But that is different parts of the supply chain. Soon banks will come as well. It's upstream, it's downstream. But we need to make it interoperable. 1, because it needs to be simple for the farmer, but 2, also because no one wants to pick up the whole tab. I'd love to talk about proof points and case studies on, but instead I will actually leave it to Thomas, because I think actually farmer-centric is also understanding it from a real farmer.
Absolutely, cool. So just to introduce myself, I'm Thomas Gent, I'm a farmer. We've talked about generations, so I'm the 4th generation of my farm to farm the land that we farm. I'm also the 3rd generation on our farm to actually implement some regenerative practices. So we farm about 2,000 acres in the UK. We've been doing regen practices for about 16 years. And I joined the Greener team right at the start of the journey. And I've been working, obviously, on my farm to make it simple to understand and use, and then also with growers, predominantly in the UK, but throughout Europe, to help them understand the opportunity that this can bring to them, to the farm, and to simplify and make it accessible to them as well.
And you've been driving around 5 states.
Yes.
What's your takeaway, Thomas?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've driven around, me and my colleagues have had a good drive around the US. We've realized how big it is, which is a fun thing. But we've visited some really amazing growers. And what we've actually seen, which is something that I found really interesting, is the similarities that it brings from Europe. I think farmers all over the world, we're all kind of trying to do the same thing. We've all got the same challenges. We're all trying to look after our soils, as we've obviously heard the farmers talk about earlier. So I think the opportunity and the kind of proof of concept that we have in Europe is definitely going to be translatable and scalable in the US.
Perfect. So with 30 seconds left, I would just round off saying, so basically what we've done is we started with carbon credits. Not because carbon credits is the silver bullet, but because it kind of sets the standard in terms of affinity. And what we're then building out now is solution for banks to create sustainability-linked loans, for supply chain to achieve their sustainability goal, and make all that interoperable. That we do, and we've started now. We're working through our Farm Up system, we're already working with 5,000 farmers across North America, and we're now starting the first pilots with different type of corporate partners to also make this happen in US, just like we've seen it actually can work in Europe. Thank you.
Simon, I have to say, I'm super impressed that you followed the instructions very well.
I'm impressed myself.
You set the pace for everybody else. So let's take a question or two from the Dolphins if we have one.
Well, I can take a lead then. So Simon, first, congratulations about doing an on-point presentation. I think you have the right mindset when you're talking about farmer-centric approach, right? I think that's really the right strategy. If you could expand a little bit and talk about how strategics and corporations can help you expand and deliver on the strategy in the US and in Europe, I think would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key thing is really here to create win-win situations. It's interesting to see it. It tends to be either one or the other. So I would categorize partners kind of in three groups. In Europe, we work with a lot of distribution partners, getting out to farmers. We cannot ring the doorbell of every single farmer. We work with advisory companies, agronomy companies, input distributors, etc. Really to bring, because everyone wants to achieve the same thing. I think that's one type of partner. Then we're working with the supply stream downstream from farmers, right? How do we actually work everything from CPGs to traders to banks to really create both to actually give them the verified data they need and the mobilization they need, but also to actually stack up that value to farmers. So there's always, in every single partnership we've made, there's always value coming back to the farmer. That is a principle. And then thirdly and finally is that we cannot just take it, we have all the nits and bolts, but we are also very uncomfortable just copy pasting. There's a long way from UK to Ukraine, so we know how scalability look like, but we also take it one step at a time. Therefore, we're working with scientific and research organizations as well when we're scaling out.
Simon, of the 15 million that you've been able to funnel to farmers, farmers are going to ask you how much of that, how much of that did you keep? Was that, did it start as 100 and you kept 85, or did it start as 20 and you kept 5? It will be important, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's very, very simple. We keep 25%.
Good.
So the 13 is what the farmer gets.
Good.
Or have gotten. It's a very, very simple model. And just to talk to the business model, it also requires 0 out-of-pocket cost for the farmer, which is another, I think, important. That idea of coming, please start paying us, and then maybe you get value down the stretch. We sit on it's basically a revenue sharing model with the farmer.
One other question, quickly. Do we have time? The other day, I heard a pitch by a group that's doing a similar thing, only you're focusing on the farmers, they're focusing on the corporations too, and they would view the farmer input that you generate as an input. Are you collaborating with any of those companies? Because this is a system-wide play.
Yeah, I would say the honest answer is we just started that. We think it's really important. We've taken the approach, and also coming back to the principle I talked about before, I think it's really important to bring premiums back to the farmer. But we have started the first partnerships with more specific kind of that partners that started from the corporate side and building out.
All right, great. Thank you, Agrina. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Andy's.
Thank you so much. My name is Juliana Worfley, and I'm the Chief of Staff at Andes. At Andes, we conduct permanent carbon dioxide sequestration on agricultural fields by empowering microorganisms. And as you all know, companies in all industries are taking action to fight climate change. And this includes pledging, planning, and executing towards net zero targets. Though there unfortunately is no technology that is able to tackle the greenhouse gas reduction and carbon dioxide removal needed at the speed and scale. And this is where Andes comes into play. Andes partners with corporations to help them achieve their decarbonization and sustainability goals. We do this through a novel technology that we've developed relying on beneficial microorganisms. And these microorganisms reduce the carbon intensity of agricultural fields, such as corn, soybean, and wheat. And farmers are a really key part of this solution. The fact that it is very easy to use and integrates seamlessly with agricultural practices. So what farmers do is that they apply the microorganism during planting using existing methods, such as an in-furrow application or a seed treatment. Once a microorganism is applied, it thrives in the plant roots and conducts the carbon sequestration by generating permanent minerals, a form of inorganic carbon. In order to measure and quantify the amount of inorganic carbon generated and thereby carbon sequestered, the Andes team conducts soil sampling on all fields at multiple time points throughout the agricultural season. This inorganic carbon then percolates deeper into the soil, making room for annual carbon dioxide removal. Eventually, the inorganic carbon reaches groundwater, rivers, and eventually the ocean, where it's stored permanently for thousands of years. The result of this process is a high-quality, high-permanence, low-cost carbon credit that can be used for insetting or offsetting purposes. Farmers play a really critical role in this carbon sequestration process, and we view farmers as our partners. So Andes actually provides the microorganism to farmers free of charge and pays the farmers a guaranteed cash payment. Additionally, the Andes technology is compatible with regenerative agriculture, so the farmers don't have to choose between one or the other. The farmer's main role in this process is applying the microorganism, and Andes takes care of the rest, including the soil sampling, analysis, third-party verification, and then selling the carbon credits. In addition to the guaranteed cash payment, farmers benefit from experiencing many other co-benefits as a result of the minerals that are generated from the Andes technology. And these minerals actually have impacts on both the plant and soil health, such as improved water drainage, increased nutrient content in the soils, and stabilization of organic matter. This also can lead to improved yields, which has been verified by independent field trials, as well as reported by farmers. We actually have one farmer in our program that last year enrolled just a few of his fields, wanted to test out the program, see how it worked. And at the end of the season, he came back and told us that one of the fields in which he applied the Andes technology on had the greatest yield he's ever seen on that field, by 2 bushels per acre. And this year, he wants to enroll all of his fields into the program. And so this is just one example of how farmers have been very positive about the Andes Carbon Program and are excited to continue to partner with us in the future. The fact that the Andes technology seamlessly integrates with existing agricultural practices has enabled rapid adoption by farmers. So Andes technology has been applied on over 75,000 acres across North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And this coming year, we're looking to expand into Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas, with Missouri and Illinois soon to follow. Over the past 3 years, we found that the Andes technology sequesters 1 to 3 tons of carbon dioxide per acre per year. Within the past 12 months, Andes has achieved many significant milestones, including capturing over 68,000 tons of carbon dioxide and benefiting over 45 farmers and their families through our cash payments. Additionally, we've sold out of our 2023 and 2024 pre-sale carbon credits inventory. In summary, the Andes product is a high permanent carbon offset or inset that also has valuable co-benefits, is rapidly scalable, and sold at a competitive price point. To get to the point where we are today, we've partnered with many industry leaders, including those in the agricultural space, and we hope to partner with many of you all in the future as well. Thank you.
Perfect. We're still on time. Dolphins, go ahead.
Thanks for a great presentation. I'm a microbiology nerd, so certainly appreciate the application. And the focus really on inorganic carbon I think is really a differentiator for y'all. Can you talk a little bit more about how the microbe is compatible with different farmer practices? I mean, you touched on that, but I think it's really unique. Would love to hear more about its use maybe as a seed treatment and how it mixes with other inputs and so forth.
Yeah, totally. So we found that the microbe is compatible with many different practices, including different other microbials. But some of the key things in which we are currently not using it with that we're hoping to expand into is irrigation, for example, because you have to also measure the amount of carbon in the water. But the fact that it just seamlessly integrates with the practices in terms of the in-furrow application is generally used for corn, the seed treatment is generally used for soybean. We haven't encountered many difficulties with farmers wanting to adopt it with their existing products.
Have your customers expressed any concerns about, the inorganics are going to take up cations, right, like calcium and magnesium that are nutrients? Have you seen any concerns there or concerns that it'll change the soil pH?
Yeah, great question. So actually the mechanism in which the microbe works is that it weathers the silicate minerals that are already within the soil. And so it's not taking the cations that are there. But that is a great question.
If I could follow up on that, then there's a parallel effort going on to replace lime for pH adjustment with silicates, pulverized silicate rocks. Have you tested to see if this accelerates and if there's a synergy there?
Yeah, so our microbe definitely impacts the pH in very micro environments and increases the pH on the small scales. But over the course of the agricultural season, it would be like a neutral to positive impact, but we haven't applied it in a...
Well, I was thinking of the carbon credits that come from those who replace lime with silicate to adjust it. And they're relying on this process. And if you speed up that process, you may have another value proposition for your product.
Yes, we are experimenting. Like enhanced rock weathering is one of the products that adds silicates to fields, and so that's definitely something we're looking at in the future. Sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah.
Right. See, we're dolphins. We don't bite. We try to help.
Very good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Guillaume and I'm COO at Chrysalabs. So in a nutshell, Chrysalabs has developed a real-time soil analysis probe capable of providing within 20 seconds a full profile of the soil, namely all micro, macro nutrients and also other soil parameters such as pH, pH buffer, organic matter, and most importantly, soil organic carbon and carbon. So discussing with our customer base, agronomists working either retailers, agronomist groups, corporate farms, we realized and started hearing a lot more concerns about the voluntary carbon market, and we realized that we could leverage our technology to solve some of the biggest challenges. In the voluntary carbon market, many challenges that we heard was that it's very hard to have a profitable carbon data. The analysis cost related to testing for carbon is very high, and testing for bulk density can be a very hard task, either if it's disturbed, undisturbed, using different kind of tools, and it's an added cost on top of the carbon cost. We've also experienced, because we're so passionate about having an accurate tool, that there was a lot of discrepancies between labs, and we realized that project developers had to work with high discrepancies, which would increase marginal errors into their models. And finally, experiencing it ourselves and from our customers, the delays experienced to receive carbon data could range between 1 to sometimes 4 months, putting a lot of pressure on cash flows of some of the project developers unable to sell their carbon credits. So leveraging our technologies, we really realized that we could be a key player in providing the most profitable carbon data. Not only using our all-in-one solution, which would provide soil information from micro, macro, and other soil parameters, but also providing a very fast carbon data. From using our technology, but also providing a full service to our customers, sending people in the field using our technology, delivering the carbon data. It's also our passion to work with our customers to reach their SBTI goals and ESG goals by working around their objectives, providing the carbon with the most integrity. Working with different labs, we realized carbon project developers also had to, and even CPGs working with different partners for generating the carbon data, it would create more errors into their models and to predicting their carbon footprint and carbon sequestration. So we were very keen to offering a one and single source of truth for all their projects within a region and across different countries. And finally, our technology is VM42 eligible, so we're working very hard with our customers as well to be using our technology within their projects. What we're most excited about is really working with our customers as well, creating a path to monetizing co-benefits. So they want to sell the carbon credits and put most money in the bucket of farmers. It comes with building stories around how the soil is improving land value and other type of co-benefits that we can build into different stories. This is the technology in a nutshell, but you'll find the core of our technology is at the bottom, where we're using spectroscopy and electrocapacitance sensor. All the data is available online, either on a phone or a computer, and we're also having an API to transfer the data directly to different kind of platforms, making it easier for our customers to use the carbon data. The next question is going to be, how accurate are we compared to a lab? So we are on the journey to have the most precise carbon technology, and we hope to achieve that accuracy with all of our customers, working hand by hand in each project, each region, training our models to specific regions, and going into the remeasuring years to having always a more accurate model. So here we hope we achieved a 0.8% correlation coefficient. This is something we're really aiming for with each of our customers, and it's a journey that we're on. We're working with different type of customers, of course, project developers, but also CPGs, MRVs, landowners, credit agencies, and there anyone looking at generating carbon information, soil carbon information. In a nutshell, one of our customer, Agro, is working with us, and one specific project of ours working with them was to collect more than 5,000 data points across 4 different states in the United States, delivering, our servicing teams working with different third parties. We were able to collect all the data within 30 days, and our goal is really to being able to making them save $100,000 at every measuring year. So the goal working with us is through the first year, partnering, working with traditional labs and our technology at no additional cost, where every year we can gradually reduce the number of lab analysis that is needed to train our models and making them save at least 40 to 50% after 5 years. So it's been a very exciting journey. We are still working very hard to make this possible, and we're excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, congrats on your success so far. I know it's not easy to take lab level measurements in the field. So can you talk a little bit more about how your technology performs in various soil conditions in terms of compaction, moisture, any other variables that y'all are looking at?
We have a general baseline of our performance across all soil types, but of course working with project developers and other of our customers for the carbon market, voluntary carbon market, it's always training our model to specific region. So we are going to have a baseline performance, but we will need to improve that performance over time for every region, just because there are so many variabilities in the soil.
How many samples an hour can you take?
Good question. So our customers will have their own protocol that we will be aligning our servicing teams, and it will either go from 1 cores, soil cores per one sampling locations to 10 cores per sampling locations. Some customers will take one depth sample, others will take two different depths samples. We work with people in Australia that, looking at 1 meter down depths at one sample at every 10 centimeters. So it's really kind of standardizing the industry is a challenge. Well, the trust will probably also come from having a more standardized protocol.
So maybe I can do a quick question here, but how do you compare soil sampling with remote sensing technology? How much more accurate you are? Or?
Yeah, well, sensing technologies can offer a certain kind of accuracy, but they will always depend on ground truth data. So we're working with, Earth Optics here as another type of sensor. We're working with them also to provide them with ground truth information that will over time reduce the cost of working with labs. But any satellite companies will work with ground truth to optimize their models.
Is there one more quick one, or is that it?
Hopefully this will be quick. One of the things that makes me nervous about satellite imageries and models, et cetera, is the lack of ground truthing. And otherwise you're asking everyone to just believe that your model is telling you the truth. And AI lies to us, why shouldn't models? How do you provide an ongoing business, though, without, I could see a threat where you ground truth somebody else's remote system, and then they say, we don't need you anymore, it's been proven, and now they go forward based on your data. Talk to me about how you build an ongoing business.
Well, they need to measure and remeasure in order to sell credits. So the ground truth operations will happen at a certain cycle. And satellite companies will forever need ground truth information, or maybe not, probably if they improve enough. But they will always rely on ground truth information. So what we hope to do is providing the most profitable carbon data by going where they want it to go, but generating more samples with a marginal cost almost equal to zero using our technology so that we can improve the density of information and reduce the overall margin of error.
Ron, that was a great question, but you're correct, it was not quick, but that's okay. We'll take it. We'll take it. Thank you, Crystal Labs. All right, Sibo, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Dolphins. I'm Billy Kripe, an old farmhand. My colleague, Tamara Cass, comes from a fifth-generation farming family. And today, we are here to talk to you really about 3 insights that we have found through our generations, our failures, our developments at SIBO Technologies. The situation of regenerative agriculture, the challenge faced by corporations and governments and program sponsors doing regenerative agriculture, and the solution, hopefully, to those challenges in that situation. So let's talk about that situation. The reality is that promises, commitments, initiatives, and programs are exploding across corporations and governments, across cooperatives, and grower network organizations. These programs take the form of Scope 3 and greenhouse gas accounting commitments, biological fuels, 45Z and carbon intensity initiatives, new programs around financial services and sustainability-based lending programs. We see carbon programs of all shapes and sizes, from carbon credits and carbon insets, verified, unverified, self-verified, popping up. We see new initiatives from government programs, from the USDA, EQIP, RCPP, CRP programs, and climate smart agriculture programs. And of course, new input programs, whether those are for new seeds or biologicals, things that can help the carbon sequestration and productivity and biodiversity of what's going on in our fields. The reality is that all these programs are popping up. And so the challenge that's faced by corporations and by the governments and by organizations that are sponsoring these programs is to deploy and manage those programs across multiple types of geographies, multiple types of crops and cultivars and practices across multiple years that will be able to scale and support the farmer's business and make it economically viable for them while still achieving their enterprise goals, their carbon and their climate commitments, and delivering confidence to the market in the reported results so that the results are trusted. Anywhere that the markets, the regulations, and the demand by the public may take you. In other words, the challenge is to be future-proof.
And the solution? SIBO Technologies. SIBO is on a mission to mitigate climate change, secure the food system resilience, and then also to improve grower outcomes along the way. We've built a powerful platform that enables the scaling of regenerative and sustainable agriculture at scale for today and wherever tomorrow leads. SIBO, the Impact platform, incorporates state-of-the-art technology, from satellite-based computer vision for remote sensing to mechanistic ecosystem models to ingest daily weather, agronomic growth, soil types, and delivering the analysis at a 3-by-3-meter resolution. And that is 9 times more powerful than any other commercially available application today. And this allows SIBO to rapidly generate data on each farm, on each field, on each county, supply shed, or even up to state and even national levels, all without bothering the grower doing the business of farming. The SIBO platform has 4 distinct pillars. First, it has a flexible programs engine configurable to any sustainability project. Scope 3.
Check.
Carbon credits.
Check.
Low CI scores for 45Z.
Check.
USDA and state government programs.
Check.
Sustainability certification programs.
Yep.
And some yet to be determined programs.
Check.
All right. Point 2, SIBO Impact delivers crop, carbon, and ecosystem models that quantify the impact of field practices in real time. Our Vera-validated SALIS model is used, or any other model that our partners want to use. So need GREET for 45Z tax credits.
Got it.
Want credible Scope 3 insets?
Check.
Yeah, need another model or metric?
Something that hasn't been invented yet?
You got it.
Check.
All right. So third, SIBO Impact includes AI-driven computer vision that processes satellite imagery to detect field management, cropping practices for the current growing season or the past 10 years. And SIBO feeds these monitoring data and verification in place of manual data capture, really reducing the time needed on farm level by the farmer or by the advisor. And fourth, our scalable platform is designed to be white labeled and integrated within existing farmer digital applications today by our partners to have an end-to-end solution for their farmers and downstream buyers with little to no development. From field pre-qualification, digital enrollment, practice verification, and outcome computation, SIBO Impact is designed to help you meet your commitments this year up to 2030 and beyond.
It works for growers.
And ag enterprises.
And anybody in the CPG, ag inputs, and cooperative spaces. So see your future.
With SIBO.
Thank you.
Thanks for a great presentation. Really, congratulations on the scale that you all have achieved so far. Can you share a little bit more about the grower practices that your model is able to infer?
Sure. So that's a great question. Our platform is designed to both infer those grower practices with remote sensing and with ground-based modeling, mechanistic ecosystem modeling. And then it is supplemented by farmer attestation, farmer data put in there. So the things that the SIBO platform can infer without farmer input are your crops that are planted, planting date, field boundaries, irrigation types, cover crop cultivars,
Types of
tillage practices,
land use practice changes.
any of the luck practices, and then the modeling, and then that practice detection is then fed into the ecosystem model to then determine things like yield, both past and future predicted and in-season yield prediction, as well as phenology and kind of drought resistance, resilience around, and it's at that 3x3 meter resolution there. So it's not just, hey, this farm suffered from the derecho that hit a couple years ago, but rather these specific locations in that particular parcel were affected or are blossoming in early phases.
That's an impressive list of data points. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep. And we're not done yet.
Just starting out, right? So from a farmer's perspective, as you advance your strategy and go to market, how can they expect improving yields and returns? How you quantify that? Are you able to have a value proposition in place for, today for them and in the future?
So do you want to take that?
Yeah, if I think I understood your question, how are we going to market and who are we? Yeah. Okay, sure. So SIBO is going to market with partners. We have, on the last slides we talked about, we're for farmers, but we're doing that through grower networks. Farmers really rely upon their agronomists and their trusted advisor. So SIBO is empowering in the background those advisors to bring programs to them so they can clearly see the ROI per field of various programs to help the farmer make the right decision, which fields to adopt different practices, which programs to enter into. And we're
which
also,
to stack as well.
Right, we have government programs where we can stack on top of it too. And then with what we're doing is bridging. If there's a CPG or some organization that has the program and a farmer that, and then a farmer organization that has the farmers, right? We're bridging those and bringing those together. But we're in the background powering that.
We heard from the farmers, they trust each other. So they don't trust a little startup from the Midwest. They're going to talk to their cooperatives, their neighbors, and their partners.
Great. Thank you both.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, also making a long trip to get here is Deep Agro.
Well, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Guillermo. I come from Argentina. We are Deep Agro, an AI company with a triple impact scope. We started as an idea in 2017, and I want to tell you about how our journey was. In Argentina, and I think in the rest of the world, we have a problem that we spray in the vast majority of our fields. And according to APRESID, that is an Argentinian no-till association, during a year, you are having 30% of your field with weeds. So we are applying in 70% of our field. There's no need. So Deep Agro has come with a very intelligent solution to this matter. We have developed our spray system. We used our artificial intelligence algorithms to differentiate weeds from crops and apply agrochemicals only where it's needed. It can work in soy and corn, and also in fallow. We can adapt every existing machine, old or new, and use it with a simple push of a button. We can make it work and apply specifically where it's needed. Our technology can perform in a lot of situations, and all the numbers you see here, there are some of the benefits it has right now. We are not limited to this. Since we started, we have developed a concept that is the eye in the fields, that what we try to do is to see what we can see and make a layer of information that will be used by the client to take better decisions. In this case, I brought a case of study. This is in Uruguay. Tomás Molina is one of our early adopters. He has our MVP product, MVP. with that technology, in this year, almost eight months of using the technology, he saved up to $300,000 only by not applying products that he should have to apply in case of spraying in all the fields. This is really interesting. I'm talking about something more about the data we generate. The information we can provide right now is where the nozzle has been opened, knowing and making a potential map of 40 centimeters, around 20 inches. No? Yeah. Of where the nozzle has been opened and where was a width that we control. All right? Nowadays, people are needing or eager to get more information to know better the field they are producing. So if we can think of other applications that you would use seeing the field, what you can see, the computer can use that information and provide it you in a simple and accessible way via our platform that is in development. Since we started, we have been using a more B2C model where we go to the specific people or farmers in Argentina, and we say, hey, we have this technology, we want you to use it, try it, and experiment with it. And we were doing the adaptation of the spray they had, and working with them till they have the knowledge of the usage of the equipment. Now, since we started in 2022 doing that model, now we are tending more at B2B model, where we want to sell the technology to OEMs in different parts of Argentina specifically, coming to Brazil in 2024. And they will do all the part of adaptate the technology to their machines. But well, anyways, this is our team. We are 30 people in Argentina working side by side to make all this possible. And well, we are very thankful to be here. But anyways, I got a punchline, I forgot. It was like, we invite you to see this brighter future for the agriculture. I saw you taking too much notes, so.
I used to work in weed control.
All
Believe
right.
me, I appreciate what you're doing there. I think globally, 37% of crop losses are due to weeds, more than insects and diseases combined.
And the loss in yields we have because of phytotoxicity that we are applying where it's not needed.
Yeah. You have some big competitors out there. You know, John Deere.
We are fighting a big fight.
Yeah, you're fighting a big fight, but then they also have competitors at the smaller regional equipment makers who desperately, I would think, need this as an answer. Correct?
Yeah, of course. I've had previously worked with other technologies, and this is what is coming. We are already in the market. We have already installed 30 sprayers in Argentina, 2 in Brazil. So we are doing the hard job. We are putting the technology, the AI technology in the fields. So that's the most difficult part. When John Deere arrives to the market, he will have some of the...
They'll have local competition.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, I haven't followed this in a few years, but the early John Deere See and Spray technology and Blue River Butte that they bought before that to build it on, their problem was the speed of the computer analysis that slowed down the machine. They couldn't go quickly. How fast can you
we are
run
working
your machines?
I did a rough math. We are working at 11 miles per hour approximately. So it's a speed the farmer is really used to work.
That's good.
Yeah, I've got a quick one. Curious how your tech performs on different categories of weeds, so broadleaf,
Yeah.
grasses, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we are working, nowadays, we are working just differentiating what is weed. It could be a grass, it could be a broadleaf, between what is a corn or soy, actually. We are working in that right now. We are developing cotton, peanuts, sugarcane, and rice, and we are working with that in mind, wheat versus crop. Even though we are in our development funnel, so to speak, we are thinking on more to do a specific weeds. For example, in Argentina, we have a very problematic weed that is Amaranthus palmieri, and that is like holy grail we are trying to attack, for example. But the equipment, since, as I was saying, it can see the field, it can differentiate one weed from another and apply only where it's needed.
I don't think
It has
we
to
have
be a
time.
quick one.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we're doing great. We are still on time. Beth is going to come up and talk to us about Earth Optics to wrap us up for this morning session.
All right, I am all that's between you and lunch, and I like to use 17 words where 4 would do, but that's showbiz. All right, I am actually not an Earth Optics employee. I am the chair of their advisory board. I think of me as the president of their fan club. They are at their all-company meeting this week, figuring out how to grow 50% this year, so I volunteered to come and represent. So what does Earth Optics do? Apparently I did not listen to the education this morning on this, but in a sentence, Earth Optics is making soil measurement of any kind cheaper, faster, more accurate, and easier to use for insights. So what does that really mean? Basically, they take some sample measurements. They use a sensor to drive really fast over some fields. They combine that with machine learning so that you can get a much more accurate picture of your soil carbon, your compaction needs, or your soil nutrient data needs on an entire field rather than just finite points along the way. And they're doing this because soil sampling can be incredibly labor intensive. I know every one of you knows that. And it's expensive, $50 for a sample, $75 depending on what you're measuring. And it's also incredibly slow. We like to think of this relationship as impossible customer service, unreasonable customer service. Rather than months until you get your soil sample data, we're talking days. All right, so we're reducing costs by 50 to 70%. So I think the last stat I had heard from them, and they're gonna have to confirm this, but they're reducing this by a factor of 12, the number of soil samples that you need to take in order to make this go faster and cheaper. And so they can give you all of this to get carbon data, tillage information, and soil nutrients. All right, so then what do you get out of this? I'll tell you a story. I think I've got plenty of time here. I actually have spent the last 15 years of my career helping get farmers paid for implementing regenerative practices. 15 years ago, we didn't know what that meant. 5 years ago, I was at General Mills, and we made a big contract to convert 35,000 acres of conventional acreage to regen acreage. We didn't know what that meant at the time. No one really did. We had some university students come out, measure the soil. They just sent a spreadsheet to the farmer and to us, and we were like, I don't know what any of this means. The next year, we went to measure again. The samples were gone. The spreadsheet was lost. The guy quit. I mean, who even knows what happened? And as of last August, the farmer of those acres pulled his acres out of that program. And now, Earth Optics actually works with General Mills through ESMC to measure all of their regenerative acres to make sure that they're actually doing the things that they say they're gonna do. So this is what you get once you've seen, you don't get a spreadsheet with a bunch of random carbon numbers on it. You get these accurate, really interesting and useful maps to show you, one, where to till and where not to till, saving you money. In addition to that, your carbon, so you get a more accurate sense across the whole field. And these are high resolution and can enable you to make better decisions. All right, so here's an example. We just talked about this. They're working with ESMC to reduce costs of their programs by over 70%. I think what is really telling here is that Earth Optics, one of their competitive advantages is how well they partner with everyone in the industry. They have, I think they actually work with quite a few of you already in here, but they're measuring 60% of the carbon market acres of row crops in the United States and almost 90% of the grassland acres. They've partnered with Vera, with CARS, B Carbon, the Grassland Carbon Projects, in order to provide these accurate low-cost measurements so that you can participate in carbon markets. All right, so their milestone, they hit 1 million acres last year. Their goal is to hit almost 1.5 this year. And you can see some of their partners listed here. They span the entire value chain. In addition to this, there are some brands actually that are working with them to connect this throughout their entire value chain, from field to finished product. Because of how accurate it is, because it's on the ground primary by field, they feel like this is, in the words of a CPG lawyer, litigation proof. And so that, I think, is one of the things that gives these guys a competitive advantage. I get to say that because I don't work there. And here they go. So they also work with lots of different companies too. They partner well with different sensors. The primary technology is the machine learning and the scientists that are on staff with them. They're started by space physicists, soil scientists. So they'll work across the industry with different soil sensors in order to go faster. They also partner with different measurement companies out there, right? It doesn't take a trained soil scientist to drive the 4x4 with the sensor on it. You just need to be able to be fearless and drive as fast as possible. I've seen this thing go at 30 miles an hour to do thousands of acres in a day. They've got an end-to-end service for carbon projects. They do partner actually with lots of people over the value chain, from MRV providers to biodiversity mapping, to CPGs, as well as LCA providers, so that they can actually own your whole project. All right, just on time.
Well, congrats on reaching 1 million acres. That's an impressive accomplishment. I'm curious, does the machine learning model that's at the heart of all this, does it use the previous year's data to improve year over year?
Absolutely. So it uses the previous year's data, it uses publicly available data, it uses the mountain of data that they've aggregated over time, and it gets more accurate over the years, and so they've actually been able to even reduce in the last couple of years the number of soil samples that they take. Their goal is to not have to take any at all eventually, but just a few for the ground truthing. But right now, yeah, they're able to reduce that over the course of the years.
Awesome, thanks.
I've asked too many questions already.
Building on the previous questions, as you improve your model and need less data to be more accurate, how easily is to expand to other regions apart from the US, like South America, Europe, Asia?
That's actually a great question, and they have partners now and are able to do that. So we are beyond the US borders, South America, Australia, the UK, and so yes, it is actually relatively easy to do, as long as there's someone who we can train on how to take samples and measure and map the area with the sensors. It's pretty easy to expand into other regions.
All right, we'll stop there. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Dolphins, thank you. You understood your instructions. You did great. Ron, you even did great. We really appreciate it. If we could.
I can't do that. How?
I was going to ask for a round of applause for the Dolphins. Now I'm not sure if I should, but let's go ahead and give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys.